Mr. Silva stands tall, claiming that there's no way he's the father of Ms. Reeves' 7-month-old son, Legend. You could feel it in the courtroom. This wasn't just about a baby named Legend. This was about pride and ego. But is he really saying the truth here, or is something else at play? Let's find out.
Ms. Reeves, you are here today to prove that the defendant, Mr. Silva, is the biological father of your 7-month-old son, Legend. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Silva, you were involved in a paternity case on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta in support of your sister, who took a DNA test to prove paternity of her child.
Ms. Reeves, on the other hand, insists that Mr. Silva is the father and is ready to prove it through a DNA test. But this isn't just any ordinary paternity case. No, it's a mess of doubts, accusations, and betrayal.
Ms. Reeves, explain to the court how this paternity doubt has affected your relationship.
Well, it's affected everything in my life. We've been on and off for about 3 years. Right now, every single time I turn around, it's always, oh, are you sure that he's my baby? Are you sure that he's my baby? Yes. I'm 100% sure. Like, why do you keep asking me?
Mr. Silva doesn't just claim his doubts are because of some missed phone calls or vague text messages. Oh no, he's got bigger issues. He admits to growing up with a skewed view of relationships, one where men can conquer women and cheat without consequences. But women, they're not allowed to do the same.
Silva, why do you have doubt?
I just don't trust her, Your Honor. I feel like she's tricking me into believing that I'm Legend's father. I grew up loving women, loving sex.
You grew up loving sex.
To me, I always felt like it was okay for men to go out, have sex, and, cheat, come home to their family, and women can't go out, have sex, and, come home, and especially with a baby.
What could be more ridiculous? He said God made men to conquer, cheat, and come home, while women were just supposed to accept it. Well, it seems Ms. Greaves had a different idea.
Well, Your Honor, I feel like,
that.
God created men to conquer, to overrule, and women cannot empower. Women cannot empower men.
What are we on, Game of Thrones?
You see what I do every day?
Oh, what are we talking about?
But let's get to the real juicy part, the pregnancy. According to Mr. Silva, the couple had been broken up for nearly a month when Ms. Reeves announced she was pregnant. And while he was out living his best life, texting multiple women and partying with strangers, she was, allegedly, texting her ex. This, of course, didn't sit well with him.
Why would you expect her to sit at home and allow you to cheat on her?
It's just really the fact that she came home, she came telling me that I'm the father of Legend. And I just, honestly, I don't believe that.
All right, so now let's come out of our hypothetical situation and let's really talk about real fact. When do you find out you're pregnant, Ms. Reeves?
Well, we was broken up at the time, but immediately, as soon as I told him that I was pregnant, he was like, oh, okay, with who?
Ms. Reeves and Mr. Silva have been in an on and off relationship for 3 years, each time hitting the same brick wall. Trust issues. But Mr. Silva, he's adamant that he's been tricked into believing Legend is his. His reasoning? He doesn't trust her and believes she's playing him.
3-4 weeks, a month, and I didn't hear from her. So at the time, she gets booked to model and promote events. And that's what she loved doing. So on her Snapchat, she's turning up, getting lit, with men, drinking, smoking. So how do you expect me to believe that you've been gone for 3-4 weeks?
When he found out she was pregnant, he was already skeptical about the timing. How could he believe he was the father when she'd been out there, living it up with other men? Still, he supported her and signed the birth certificate.
Child.
Your Honor, as soon as she told me, I told her who was the father. So I did not believe I was the father, and I was not with her during her pregnancy. I was only there to be supportive during the birth.
So in that moment, despite your doubt, you said, I want to be there at the hospital when the baby
Yes, and throughout the whole time I'm telling her I want a DNA test.
And when it comes to trust, the situation spirals even further. Ms. Reeves says she was faithful, but she has evidence that Mr. Silva was cheating and bad-mouthing her to his mistresses.
See that evidence. Jerome, will you hand that to me?
Here you go. He was her boyfriend as well. He didn't know me. I'm just
So you got a message out of the blue from another woman.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, he told me you were his ex and that you were pregnant, but you're and didn't know who the dad was.
Yes, ma'am.
The back and forth continues, with Mr. Silva accusing her of hiding something and Ms. Reeves claiming he's simply insecure. The more they argue, the more the audience can feel the tension building. It's clear, a paternity test is the only way out of this mess.
Mr. Silva, you are the father.
Mr. Baker had been playing the father role on and off for 22 years, but now he suddenly wasn't so sure. After raising not 1 but 2 daughters, he decided the paternity of the second child needed clarification. Why? Because Miss Graves, his wife of 4 years and partner of over 2 decades, admitted there might have been a couple of other contenders in the baby daddy lottery, and suddenly all hell broke loose.
Miss Graves, Graves, you state your marriage is on the rocks and on the brink of divorce.
Yes, ma'am.
You're suing your husband, Mr. Baker, for a paternity test to prove that he's your 19-year-old daughter, Vanisha's biological father. You claim you're hoping this DNA test will fix your family.
Ms. Graves stood her ground, claiming that a simple DNA test could mend their broken family, save their marriage, and give their 19-year-old daughter, Vanisha, the needed answers. But Mr. Baker wasn't buying it. He had serious doubts.
Got together this last time. I feel like he kind of punishing me and my daughter. You know,
Punishing you how?
like the way he treats us. You know, I mean, he's not the man that he should be for the family.
What is he punishing you for?
We had a DNA for my first daughter. It was 22 years ago.
What made the situation even more complicated was the history between them. They weren't just any couple, they were a couple with a past. For Ms. Graves, the public embarrassment she got from Mr. Baker after informing him of the possibility that Vanisha could be his was enough.
You have been in a relationship for almost 22 years.
No, ma'am.
We've been dealing with each other for 22 years.
No, ma'am.
Okay, I think that's what I meant, but
Yeah.
thank you for the clarification.
Yes, ma'am.
No, I appreciate that. But what I want to make clear is you were not married until later on.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Baker wasn't convinced. He claimed Miss Graves had never even told him he was the father, and even if she had, he didn't believe her, especially after that first paternity bombshell 2 decades ago. Now here they were again, facing off in court.
Never said that I was her father.
Okay,
You've
but
never
what about when she was 10?
When she was 10.
And we were together,
Okay.
and she was calling you
You
daddy.
told me that she was
and-
my father. I mean, I
No,
was her father.
you told me
You
that
told
she
me
looked like you.
Okay,
It was
resemblance. I
similarities.
said that.
Okay.
I know I said
Okay,
that.
then.
But I didn't say,
So he
did
been
you say
knowing
that
it.
I was her father?
They're not just separate. Miss Graves had terminal cancer, and all she wanted before she left this world was clarity for her daughter. And Mr. Baker, well, let's just say compassion wasn't exactly his strong suit. While she was battling cancer and undergoing chemo, he was verbally abusive, argumentative, and cold.
To clear my mind, I have terminal cancer. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't even know how to treat me with that. He's not compassionate. He cussed me out. You know, I'm doing chemo, and right before I do the chemo, we're arguing, and my blood pressure shot.
was
the
Basically,
roof.
blame on me, though.
Yes.
Blame me, blame me, blame me.
His smug body language and refusal to own up to his part in the dysfunction had the judge fed up. She called him out for disrespecting his wife, dodging responsibility, and letting past wounds fester instead of seeking truth and healing. She reminded him that Vanisha deserved answers.
I want to hear because when you talking thus far,
Yes.
I'm gonna be honest, you getting on my last nerve.
I'm sorry.
Because you, no,
I'm sorry, yo.
you're
I'm
not.
sorry.
It's like you're
I'm
not
sorry.
taking it seriously. It's too
I'm
much
sorry.
smiling and acting like
I mean,
what
I
she's
wasn't
saying
smiling as long as
doesn't
it was-
matter.
it was-
no,
it was
let me.
critical.
You not gonna out-talk me.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ms. Graves had been pushed for the truth. Yes, she had slept with 2 other men during the same 8-day window. So why was she so sure Mr. Baker was the one? Well, because Vanisha looked like him. That's it. But Mr. Baker, though he could see the resemblance, still held on to his doubts. And who could blame him? A man who had been betrayed once was not quick to trust again.
What are your doubts specifically as
Like
it
I
relates
say,
to her?
it's not just me. It's 2 other guys, you know. And the timing, yeah, you might say that we were here and there, but at the same time, the timing, it could match up and it could not match up.
The 2 other men. How did you find out about these?
I mean,
2
she
other
told me about them. Miss Graves told me about them.
Still, Mr. Baker insisted the timeline didn't add up. He wasn't sure if he and Miss Graves had even been together during the supposed conception period. That's when Miss Graves whipped out her conception calendar.
men? Go ahead, man.
Halloween, we ended up hooking up, you know, so I was still dealing with him because he was my baby's father from the previous child. I have evidence here.
I'd like to see that evidence. What is that specifically, ma'am?
It's the conception date.
The window of conception.
Yes, ma'am.
This wasn't just about biology, it was about healing, responsibility, and the messiness of love stretched out over 2 decades of hurt. Miss Graves wasn't perfect. She knew it. She'd made mistakes. But all she wanted now was peace for her daughter and maybe, just maybe, a chance to fix what was broken in her family before time ran out. And then came the results.
Mr. Baker, you are not her father.
Imagine calling off your wedding, pawning the engagement ring for half its value, and dragging your ex to court just to prove a point. That's exactly what Mr. Fernandez did. After catching his fiancée, Ms. Butler, in a lie, he bet everything on a DNA test that would, hopefully, confirm he wasn't the father of little Divine.
Mr. Fernandez, you and your former fiancée, Ms. Butler, say everything rides on today's DNA result. You claim you found evidence that she cheated and another man may have fathered your little girl, Divine. Now, you called off the wedding, pawned the ring, and lost $300. Am I correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Butler, however, was sticking to her story. She admitted to straying, but she was adamant. Divine was still Mr. Fernandez's daughter, and there was no question about it. Despite her admission of cheating, she wasn't about to back down from her claim that Fernandez was Divine's father.
Ms. Butler, although you admit to cheating during the window of conception, you say you have no doubt Mr. Fernandez is Divine's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so Mr. Fernandez, why did you pawn the ring?
Because I was frustrated, I was angry. I took the ring back and I left.
The real issue was whether he had been tricked into fathering a child that wasn't his. But Ms. Butler wasn't letting him get away with it that easily. She started to recount how she caught him red-handed once before.
When we first got together, he already had a girlfriend, so he already was a cheater in the beginning. He cheated with...
I cheated while we here. I didn't cheat while we here right now.
You did cheat, and that's exactly why I cheated. But he already had a girlfriend when we first got together. You know the baby is yours.
The baby?
You know the baby is yours. You did cheat.
According to her, he had gone off to see another woman, but when he returned, the unmistakable scent was all over him. To make matters worse, she soon admitted that while Mr. Fernandez was off with someone else, she had gone out, had a few drinks, and made some questionable decisions herself.
All day.
Smell like
Working
Your
all
Honor.
day. Working
it's
all
the
day.
difference between sweat
Okay.
and sex.
So the bottom line is you
That
felt
she cheated. That's the bum.
like he had been cheating.
Yes.
And then what happened?
We get into a big argument. I put him out because I know what I smell. I don't care what he's talking about. I know what I smell. I'm bleeding my nose over.
Mr. Fernandez found evidence that Ms. Butler cheated by snooping through her phone. That was enough to send him over the edge. It took weeks of arguments and digging, but she finally admitted that yes, she had a little slip-up. But don't worry, she insisted she used protection, confidently.
So bottom line is you slept with somebody else.
Yes, yes.
And you say you used a condom.
I did use a condom. Yes.
Now, how did you find out that she slept with somebody else?
I found out it took weeks of me pressing it out of her. When I came home, it was just me and her there one day. I see her phone. I ain't gonna lie, Your Honor, I'm a big snooper. So I grabbed the phone.
Yes.
But here's where it gets absurd. Ms. Butler had always told Mr. Fernandez that she was allergic to condoms, which is why they never used them. But now, all of a sudden, with this random guy, she had no issues.
Did cheat.
You cheated, got caught red-handed. I never cheated.
When did she come clean?
She came clean. It took weeks. It took weeks for her to actually
You
come
just kept
clean.
asking her over and
I kept
over
asking-
again.
I kept asking her. It was
Because-
several arguments.
And I wore a condom.
You allergic to condoms, right?
And I wore a condom.
But you
I
allergic
didn't
to
know-
it?
But I didn't know him.
So you gonna eat some
But
food
I didn't
that you
know
allergic
him.
to it.
When Judge Lake pressed her about the supposed allergy, Ms. Butler admitted she made it up, just so Mr. Fernandez wouldn't use protection. Yep, she lied to keep things raw. And now, post-fact, she's trying to claim she miraculously wore a condom with someone else. Yeah, that tracks.
So you're not actually allergic to latex?
No, I'm not.
That's just something you told him?
Yes.
Wow.
Because you wanted to sleep with him without protection?
Yes.
Well, so you trapped me. So she was trying to trap me. Oh, I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Ms. Butler, you said you did use a condom with this new guy.
Yes.
So obviously there was no allergic reaction because you're not really allergic.
Right.
But Ms. Butler wasn't done yet. She came to court with a calendar. According to her, she and Mr. Fernandez were intimate the entire week, leading up to her one-night stand. So yes, they were both wilding out, but somehow he was the villain. Judge Lake wasn't buying it.
So this calendar represents the dates you were intimate with a plaintiff.
Yes.
All right, so you were intimate with Mr. Fernandez on the 1st.
Yes. The 31st, the 1st. Then we got into it. He cheated on me on the 2nd. He came
So-
up smelling like sex, and then I went out with my friend and did what I did.
So now, you submitted this calendar to...
As the courtroom tension rose, the judge sifted through their nonsense with a raised eyebrow and plenty of side-eye. After all the ridiculous accusations, the fake allergy, and the $300 loss, Judge Lake finally opened the envelope.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Fernandez, you are her father.
Told you. I know what I'm talking about.
Ms. Wilson dragged Mr. Phillips to court, determined to prove that he was the father of her daughter, Hope. But Mr. Phillips was convinced that Ms. Wilson's co-worker was the birth father. According to him, the kid didn't look like him at all, but instead looked exactly like this other man, Mr. Garcia.
Ms. Wilson, you believe the defendant, Mr. Phillips, was always unfaithful to you and still holds a flame for his ex-wife.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yet you claim he is the one who's always accused you of cheating, and he's repeatedly denied fathering your daughter, Hope.
Yes, Your Honor.
These two didn't start off on solid ground. In fact, their relationship started as a no-strings-attached hookup. And for 7 years, it stayed rocky. There was no trust, no boundaries, and apparently no filters. Arguments about cheating were a regular thing.
How did your relationship relationship with Mr. Phillips go so wrong?
Well, the way we got together, just having sex. And so when you build a relationship like that.
That's pretty together.
Yeah, right. And when
So it started off as a non-committal sexual relationship.
Correct.
Mr. Phillips accused Ms. Wilson of sleeping around, especially with his co-worker. Meanwhile, Ms. Wilson swore she was loyal, except for that little detail about kissing Mr. Garcia in a club while being all up on him like they were auditioning for a reality show. But hey, she wasn't making love, just kissing. So that's totally different, right?
Mr. Phillips,
Yes, Your Honor.
what are these doubts based upon?
We were separated at a point in time, and during that point in time, she led me to believe that I was the only man that she was sexually involved with. But she let me know she was doing the clubs and she was dating people, but she was not sexually involved with anybody.
Okay.
Still, things got even more bizarre. Before they got serious, Ms. Wilson apparently used to answer calls from her other man while hooking up with Mr. Phillips. That's right, talking on the phone during the deed.
his concern, but
So that's your coworker.
that's my coworker, correct?
But
You
she-
admit from kissing on him
Yes.
in the club, you admit to going on vacation
Yes.
with him, you admit to hanging around with him.
Yes.
You lived in the same apartment complex.
Yes.
Mr. Phillips, that's your doubt.
I mean, even
Yes.
before that, even prior to him,
So, it's understood. They were talking to other people on the phone while having sex with each other. He wasn't any better. He was juggling women, throwing wild parties, and sleeping with half the women in his apartment complex, so much so that they literally had to move houses just to escape his reputation.
Bottom line is, you two established this anything goes, thrill-seeking, let's be single and have fun relationship.
Yes.
But then it backfired.
for her, she knew in my whole delivery that I was a player, that I was a bachelor, that I was living that life when she met me.
But somewhere along the line, it got real. She got pregnant. They moved in together, tried to start fresh. But remember how he slept with almost everyone in his old apartment complex? Yeah, that fresh start was doomed from the jump.
So you move in with Mr. Phillips.
Yes.
And you all have a conversation and you say, you know what? I'm pregnant.
Yes.
We're living together. Let's try to make this thing work and
Yes.
have a real committed relationship. You agreed to it, Mr. Phillips.
I agreed to it.
But I didn't trust him, and then I really didn't trust him, not only because of the
They moved into a new place, but the past followed. While trying to unpack, Ms. Wilson stumbled across nude photos of his ex-wife, her shoes, candles they shared, and other intimate reminders of the woman he swore he was over. When she asked him to get rid of it all, he simply handed the stuff over to his mom. Classy.
When we moved into our new place, it was for a new start. We would leave everything behind. I had my baby probably about 2 months or a month after we moved in, so I didn't really get to unpack and just really get settled in. And so when I finally got the chance to get settled in, I found naked pictures of the ex-wife.
Now let's go back to Mr. Garcia, the alleged real father. This wasn't just about the kiss. He held Hope in his arms, acted like a family friend, and even shook Mr. Phillips' hand. Mr. Phillips had made up his mind. The child had Garcia's features, not his.
regarding the paternity of young Hope, Ms. Wilson's daughter.
Right.
Mr. Phillips contends that you were with Ms. Wilson in the club, that you were kissing in the club.
I was.
Were
We
you
weren't
kissing?
She was showing me how to kiss.
It turned out that Mr. Garcia was just Ms. Wilson's gay best friend. With all this back and forth, Judge Lake had had enough. Through all the noise, the only thing that mattered was the truth.
Mr. Phillips, you are her father.
It was a courtroom filled with drama, tension, and accusations that no one could have predicted. On one side, there was Miss Lindsay, fiercely accusing Miss Cade of using her son to climb the ladder to fame and fortune. She claimed that the woman had cheated on him the very same month she got pregnant, and now she was demanding that her son be the father of her child. On the other side stood Miss Cade, who insisted that despite her uncertainty about the child's paternity, she had no financial agenda. Her only aim was to clear the air and prove Miss Lindsay wrong.
Ms. Lindsay, you claim the defendant is using her child to trap your son the rewards of his success. You say she cheated on your son the very month she got pregnant, yet
The accusations came fast and furious. Miss Lindsay, who appeared to harbor deep resentment, didn't hold back. She pointed her finger at Miss Cade, calling her all sorts of names. But the real kicker was when Miss Lindsay claimed she'd heard rumors of Miss Cade sleeping around with multiple people, some of them her own son's friends. It was the kind of gossip that, while lacking solid proof, certainly added fuel to the fire. Miss Cade, of course, denied all of it, but it was hard to ignore the drama swirling around her past.
that is not true.
Let me tell you,
One at a time now. Miss Lindsay, what's going on as you so upset?
Your Honor, before with my son,
She was my daughter right here, this best friend.
According to Ms. Lindsay, Ms. Cade's bedroom history disqualified her from ever being a legitimate partner for her son. Ms. Cade denied everything, but Ms. Lindsay was relentless. She didn't want her son with his sister's trampy best friend, and she made sure the court knew it.
Hey, were you all up in the sauna and steam?
I am a young lady. I do not get down like that, personally.
Blood of Jesus.
I do not
Why
get
do
down
you
like
think
that.
Ms. Lindsay making these allegations?
She has a problem with me since the beginning.
This promises to be a heated session, but the real drama came when the conversation turned to the baby itself. Miss Lindsay had stormed into the delivery room during the birth, trying to be the first to see the child. Security had to be called in to remove her.
I'm a gold digger.
Okay.
But let
I'm
me
not
get
a gold
something
digger.
straight. You're here because you doubt that your son is the 5K baby.
Your Honor, she had a C-section.
The
She
black
had
man.
a C, just like you.
As the case progressed, it became even clearer that there was more to this than met the eye. Marvin, the young man at the center of it all, expressed doubt about being the father. Though he hoped the baby was his, he couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right, and the doubts weren't just coming from him.
Do you believe the baby is yours?
I hope that the baby is mine with everything in my heart. I hope that it's my baby.
I think he would
I've
believe
been there
it
If
since
she
day
didn't
one.
keep
Hope
interjecting
and
and saying
believe
no.
are two different.
I don't know for a fact. I believe that it's my baby.
These women are out for blood. However, the most explosive detail came when Miss Cade admitted that during a break from Marvin, she had slept with someone else. That someone else, her ex, was a man of mixed heritage, and Marvin believed the baby's curly hair was a clear sign of this man's genetic influence.
What were your doubts based
Okay,
upon?
my doubts are based on what the doctor said about her, and I'm right. They couldn't see the resemblance, so they are the father or where was the
She's a
father?
little baby.
She looks
Children
like me.
grow
I
and
look
Of
like
course,
her mother.
I knew features to develop, but
As Miss Cade revealed this bombshell, the room went silent. Was it possible that Miss Cade had gotten pregnant during the break, or had she simply made a bad decision and slept with both men during the same window of time?
You're in a break, and then you end up getting back with your ex. You have unprotected sex.
And I found
then
out
you
I
end
was
up back
pregnant.
with
Yes,
Mr.
Yes, and then I found out I was pregnant.
You were pregnant. Who do you think was the father?
With each passing moment, it became clear that this wasn't just about the baby. It was about trust, betrayal, and the clash between two very different women. One, a protective mother, and the other, a woman fighting for the truth.
Children have their baby toenail, it grows straight up, and I mean all shoe off, boy.
What?
And you better not tell me, show that judge
That's
your toe.
ridiculous.
Hold
Show
on
that
now.
judge your toe right now.
Wait, what is it?
But the tension reached its peak when Judge Lake, who had been handling the case with remarkable patience, decided it was time to bring this all to a close. With the courtroom hanging on every word, the judge readied herself to deliver the verdict.
Mr. You, her father.
The chaos surrounding the paternity of little Zaylon Davis is like a wild game of chance, with the stakes higher than anyone expected. Two identical twins, Brian and Marcus Wiggins, both point their fingers at each other, claiming they might be the fathers of Cecily Williams' child. But before you get too deep into this mess, just wait until you hear how it all spiraled out of control.
Mr. Wiggins, you and your twin brother are here for the results of paternity tests regarding Zaylon Davis. You both claim you was with the defendant, Cecily Williams.
It all started on a night in Las Vegas. Cheap hotel rooms, drinks, and a group of friends ready to party. Brian, feeling adventurous, books the room and invites his twin brother Marcus along for the ride. A night of drinking and hanging out soon turns into something much more complicated when both men end up in a tangled web with Cecily and her friends. As the night winds down, things get fuzzy. Brian, fading from the night's drinking, finds himself in a state of semi-consciousness on the couch, while his brother Marcus, ever the opportunist, takes things a step further with Cecily.
Do you believe that the son or
He's my son, and he's my nephew or not. So,
Why?
I went to Vegas, and during the week, the hotel rooms is very cheap. So, I'm room.
But hold on, here's where things start to get even juicier. The morning after, as the hangover sets in, Brian was shocked when Marcus casually mentioned that he had slept with Cecily. Brian's immediate response? He didn't believe his brother at first. Surely, he thought, Marcus was just stretching the truth. But soon enough, reality sinks in. Marcus insists it wasn't just one time, it happened twice.
hold on, because at the time, Ms. Williams was your friend.
Yes.
Actual
He's
relationship.
just mad because I smacked her. He got a
Your
little
Honor,
jealous.
I object. I sex with him ever. Look at him. Why would I? We
Kill.
need to.
Now I'm sure you're thinking, this is already messy, but there's no way this can get worse. Well, it does. It turns out that Cecily can't even remember exactly who she slept with that night. Was it Brian or Marcus? Or maybe it was both. She gets defensive when confronted, swearing up and down that she didn't sleep with either brother, but the expressions on her face tell a different story. She admits to being so drunk that the lines between who was who blurred. And here's the kicker. She doesn't even deny that she could have slept with both men on different occasions. This, of course, only stirs the pot further.
Why didn't you believe your told
Well,
you
because
he
my
had
brother
sex?
has he stretches the truth a little bit. Didn't really quite believe it. So her asked her about it. You know, the reaction gave me was like, no, what are you talking about? Do anything like that?
Things are getting out of control. Meanwhile, Cecily plays the part of the confused, remorseful young woman, admitting she made some stupid decisions when she was young. But there's one thing that sticks out. Why would any woman get so drunk that she doesn't remember which twin she slept with? You can't help but wonder if her memory isn't the only thing she's trying to blur.
You said that you really don't remember exactly everything that went down that night, and you possibly sex.
There were other nights do the same things. I could have possibly.
Let's be real here. If you can't remember who you slept with, especially when the two suspects are literal carbon copies of each other, you've got yourself a recipe for paternity disaster. And who pays the price? Not Brian, not Marcus, not even Cecily. It's Zaylin, the little boy whose fatherhood was now tangled in this circus.
How did you find out that Ms. Williams was pregnant?
We stopped talking for a few months, and I decided to give her a call. I gave her a call, and I went to the doctor. I got the paper of the ultrasound and everything. I'm like, okay, go ahead.
With all the emotional chaos and confusion piling up, the tension is unbearable. You can almost feel Judge Lake's frustration as she tries to make sense of the madness unfolding before her. Cecily tells the court how one of the twins ignored her and denied her and her baby.
Your Honor, he never really even cared because around he was not with the girl that he said is her baby and my 9 months apart. So care anything about me because I was always second to him.
Cecily let it all out. She told the court that Marcus had been ignoring her and the baby despite initially accepting the baby and taking several pictures with her.
You sold me a dream in the beginning. You told me that, but at the end of the day, you left me for the other girl. Not only did I, in the beginning, get a child or whatever, how many times have I been you for a DNA test?
The court even had to administer a polygraph test to get to the bottom of things. The lies are flying fast, the truth is getting harder to pin down, and at this point, the real question is, how could anyone trust what's being said? The moment of truth arrives.
This court has determined that Mr. Brian Wiggins is the biological father.